TESOL Pop, Season 6, Special Episode. Hello and welcome to TESOL Pop, the mini podcast for busy teachers. My name is Laura and today is our special episode about the English Teachers Association Switzerland, or ETAS for short, Professional Development Day in Bern. In this special episode, I will share soundbites from attendees Lizzie Hirst, Veronique Vouilloz, and presenters Samvidha, Srinath, McMaster, as well as ETAS members Rumana, Yasin, and Yuval, Shomron. As all of the interviews for this episode were conducted at the event, you will hear the chatter of people in the background. If you prefer to listen along with a transcript, then you can go to our website, or you can turn on the closed captions if you're watching on YouTube. Both of those links are in the show notes now if you're currently listening on a podcast platform. Let's start by listening to what Lizzie took away from Samvidha's talk on educational activities and games in the English language classroom.
I think for me it was important how much those games and activities really affect the relationships between students and between students and their teacher as well. And it just gives them an opportunity to learn in just a much more interactive way than they would with a textbook or just watching something, just staying in their seat.
So as somebody who works in EdTech, you develop a curriculum for EdTech platforms. How are you going to take away what you've learned today and apply it to your particular context?
Yeah, I think while I was watching, because one of the things that we had to do in the workshop was get up and actually do those games as if we were the students, and we were like playing bingo and stuff like that.
I love bingo.
Yeah, tense bingo. It's quite fun. I think for me I was trying to think of a way that we can do that through technology, because technology is just one of those things in education that's not going away now. It's sticking around, and how can we gamify that between players, between students, and try and figure out a way to do that.
I later interviewed Veronique, who talked about her wonderful experience in Yuval's workshop called Time to Rhyme.
And it showed us couplets that he had written himself, and they were quite funny, quite pleasant. And then he made us do something ourselves. So he handed out sheets of paper, and we all had to write a rhyming couplet at the top of the sheet, and then pass on the sheet to the next person, who had to continue in the same vein, the same story. There was some sort of storyline, or if they couldn't find, they could switch to something else and write their own rhyming couplet, and so on. So the first one was okay because I had an idea, but then the second one I had to adjust to what the first person had written. But still, it was fun. And after about five times, he stopped. It would have taken too long. And then we all had to read the sheet we had in our hands. And some of them were really good. And all had something funny in them. And then he commented, and he said that we all agreed with him that some humor is very good in a lesson. I think students are more relaxed and they learn better. Yeah.
What a wonderful creative space that workshop sounds like, and the fact that you all participated in producing something. You have something by the end of a 45-minute session. That's incredible.
Right. Yes, and there was a warm-up. He showed us what he had done, and he commented. So it was good. Yes, I think I would like to show my students. Now I don't teach any class, but I have a reading group, and even though my participants come to discuss books, I think they might be interested in trying something like that.
Oh, fantastic. So this is something that you're going to take away and try with your reading group and explore this creativity that you've seen today.
But very often on these workshops, on these conferences I've attended, I'm sorry I don't have a class anymore because there are good ideas I would like to try.
It was great to meet Samvidha, who Lizzie talked about earlier, having attended her talk on activities and games. I asked Samvidha about her experience as a first-time presenter at the event.
For the first time, it was absolutely wonderful. It's always a pleasure to be here, even though it's just the second time. I find myself being very excited, and for this workshop as well, I was absolutely excited. I was also very nervous, and can I be honest here? I was also worried that with my topic, I did not know whether people would come. And I was also a bit, nervous in the beginning because it was also my very first talk on a professional platform. And as a university student, like, you don't get that many opportunities to simply present yourself, to put yourself out there on a professional platform. So I would really like to thank ETAS at this point for giving me this opportunity to present my ideas and to allow people to, be creative and be themselves. So absolutely enjoyed it.
Later in the day, I met Ian, where I asked him about his experience of the event and talks he had attended.
Well, I should say first that it's always a fantastic event when you come to ETAS in Switzerland. I've been coming for 20 odd years.
Oh, wow.
Not to every conference, but to a lot of them. It's actually helped me to get to know Switzerland because they've been different towns, although the Professional Development Day has been here for the last 3 years. And then the AGM in January that ETAS has. So it's always very special. They're always extremely well organised, and the range of topics. And I always think when I go to a conference, what am I going to take away that I'm going to remember in 1 week's time, 3 months' time or something? And I think from this one, because of the emphasis on ESP, and there's a strong overlap there with university education. So the plenary this morning and the 2 talks that I went to, apart from the one that I gave, were all from people based in universities. Discussing different aspects. How do you genuinely take into account students' needs? We heard from Natasha Costello in the plenary. How do you really know what their situation is? What's the rest of their program when they're not in your English classes? What are they doing? I thought that was very interesting from a sort of organisational point of view. That it's not just about the content of your class; it's about being aware of what else is going on in the students' lives. And then a big topic in university or higher education, of course, is the impact of artificial intelligence.
Yeah, that's
GPT.
really, it's everywhere, isn't it?
It's everywhere, so if you're being facetious, you could say if you want a big audience in your talk, make sure AI is in the title at the moment, and people will go because, and I followed discussions about this online and social media, there is an amazing natural curiosity amongst teachers to find out about new things, to find out about new tools, to discover, will they help me? What are the disadvantages? I don't think teachers are naive about this. They're aware, and of course in higher education they have to deal with the impact of AI on the output that their students are producing. So how do they assess students when the output's being potentially written by AI, in effect, written by ChatGPT? And that was very interesting in the talk by Caroline Hyde-Simon, who was talking about how her institution in Zurich is trying to develop different tasks that the students have to do to move the shift away from written output.
I got some time to interview ETAS team members. I met Rumana, who is the Public Relations Chair, where I asked her about what she was going to take away from this event.
Well, I learned a lot of interesting things about AI and ChatGPT and I met some interesting people from Basel. I'm from Basel, but I'm always looking to find more people so I can catch the train ride with them. I'm not alone. And so we made a lovely group. We have our WhatsApp group, and I look forward to connecting with them and meeting them in my town.
That sounds like an absolute bargain for a day, to come, learn lots of things and meet a whole community that you can bring back to Basel. That sounds like so much of a win.
Oh, definitely. I think ETAS events are a great platform for new teachers, for old teachers to meet new people, and it's amazing for networking.
Can I ask, for people who may be attending events like this and maybe quite new to events, how can they get the most out of these type of experiences? Do you have any tips?
I would say make connections, add people, new people that you meet, and stay in touch and come to the events more regularly. Try to be part of ETAS by volunteering. We are always looking for volunteers to, sort of have these events become a success.
Finally, I got some time with President Yuval, where I asked him about the significance events like this have on teacher development.
Every time I come to one of these, the thoughts in the back of my mind, can I learn anything new? And the truth is, I always take away a few bits and pieces that I can apply to my own classes, to my own life. And I think when there are teachers or anybody, business people or whatever, who have decided they don't need to learn anymore, it's really sad.
Mm-hmm. It is, isn't it? There's always something that we can learn or be inspired by just meeting with others. And what's really lovely about this day today is that you've given a lot of space for people to network between the workshops. Was that intentional decision by you?
Yes, we actually we a little bit learned from IATEFL that workshops can be 45 minutes because they used to be an hour, and then there were these 15-minute breaks. It wasn't enough for people to get to know the vendors or each other. We just decided that we needed to move schmoozing up on our priority list because, the truth is with any conference, you learn something from the workshops, you learn something from the plenaries, but quite often you learn something from the person across the table who's drinking coffee with you. Sometimes that's the most important part of a conference. And you can give it a fancy name and call it networking, or you can just say learning from the other person drinking coffee. Because you find out, where are you from? What are you teaching? And very quickly you learn that almost all of us in similar situations face similar problems and similar challenges. And sometimes we run across somebody who's found a solution to it. And we think, wow, that's amazing. I could use that too. Okay? Mm-hmm. So the schmoozing is very important.
A big thank you to all of my guests, Lizzie, Veronique, Samvidha, Ian, Rumana and Yuval for sharing your learning and experience to create this special episode. Thank you also to the ETAS team for supporting us in creating this episode, enabling us to record on site, and for hosting such a wonderful event. Finally, thank you to Haven Sang, who provided all the technical support that enabled us to take TESOL Pop on the road. To learn more about ETAS, including their online and face-to-face events, you can go to their website, etas.ch. That's e-tas.ch. The link is in the show notes below, so you can access that easily. Finally, you can support the work we do at TESOL Pop by leaving a rating and review wherever you listen to the podcast, by sharing today's episode with your teaching community, or by even buying us a coffee at ko-fi.com/TESOL Pop.